time is it?
Go for it, 7 o'clock.
Okay, we're gonna start our meeting. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please stay standing while we state remembrances of folks that have passed and reached since the last meeting. James R. Terwilliger, Joycelyn L. Plummer, Carl C. Carlson, Millard Sonny Terwilliger, Rosalind E. Hall, roll call. Mike?
Here.
Paul?
Here.
Bill?
Here.
Cassie?
Here.
We have a full board. Fire exits are directly behind me here. Don't use the elevator in case of an emergency. Correspondence, I don't believe we have any. Attorney concerns? Petitioners, people in the building here itself or on Zoom. We'll take the people from the audience here today first. Come up and mention your name and your concerns.
No concerns. My name's Francis Roll. I just want to let you guys know I'm the liaison for the Ellenville Fire District. For you guys, if you guys need anything, have any comments, concerns, or needs,
Fantastic.
you can reach out to. So Mike knows how to.
So I'll give you a little input on that. Thanks, JR.
Yep.
Last week, Mike and I met with all 4 fire districts. So at the next meeting, we'll have you present. What we talked about was the emergency management plan.
It was my speech.
We got that from Jackie. We got it from Jackie the next day. I think it was what year, 2009 or 6?
Seven.
Seven? So Mike, you want to expound on that?
I was going to, at the end,
Under your concerns?
under my concerns.
Okay. Well, maybe JR doesn't want to wait that long.
So basically, Joe, what we did was we met with all the chiefs of the fire departments, Craigsmore, Napanock, Ellenville, Kerhonkson, First Aid and Rescue Squad from Ellenville. Kerhonkson unfortunately couldn't be there. Terry was there. And what we discussed was putting a plan together. An emergency plan is one that was written back in 2007. There's some old stuff in there. I've been going through, filtering through, dissecting it. We're all going to get together again in the near future here now and invite more people, the police department, liaisons, the mayor, everybody that's going to be involved in this master plan to come up with a better plan should anything happen that we're prepared for it. So it's in the preliminary stage. There's a lot of good talk about it, a lot of good information that's going to be out there. There'll be more forthcoming in the future.
There was a lot of energy in the room.
Definitely was.
And Wilhelm and county people. So I'm not mentioning anybody in particular. I'm just saying there's going to be a pretty good group of people that are really wanting to engage and do a good job on that.
If I may, I would just like to thank you and all the members of the Fire Department and Emergency Services for the job you guys do and the dedication that you have.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay?
Yeah.
Thanks, JR. Anyone else? Anybody on Zoom?
Nope.
No.
On Zoom?
Nope.
Is there anybody on Zoom?
Nobody tonight.
Okay. All right, so what we'll do right now is go to our first resolution. Town of Wawarsing by the Wawarsing Town Board, by resolution authorizes, subject to permissive referendum, the issuance of $135,000 bonds of the town of Wawarsing, Ulster County, New York, to pay the cost of purchase of trucks for construction and maintenance purposes for said town. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mike makes the motion.
No, that's Bill.
Bill made
Bill
it.
makes the motion and
second.
Mike seconds it. This will be a roll call vote. Michael.
Aye.
Paul.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Cassie.
Aye.
Aye. I vote aye. Yes. Resolution is carried 5-0. No budget box. Correct. Now, board to approve bills as ordered. We have 3 signatures. Who makes the motion?
So moved.
Bill makes a motion, Mike seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
That motion is carried. Town board to approve the assessor report, the building department, the justice court, the highway department, the town clerk, the maintenance department, the dog control officer, the youth commission report, the tax collector's report.
I move 3 through 11.
I'll second.
Mike, Bill makes the motions 3 through 11. Mike seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motions are carried. 12, town board to reappoint Jeffrey C. Slade to the Joint Historic Preservation Commission. This will be for a term of 3 years, ending on December 31st, 2024. It's per the recommendation of the Joint Historic Preservation Commission.
Move it.
Second.
Cassie makes the motion, Paul seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town board to approve the 2022 annual membership dues for the Roundout Business Association in the amount of $50.
I'll make it.
Paul makes a motion, Bill, Mike seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town board to approve 2022 annual membership dues for the International Code Council, Inc. in the amount of $145.
I'll move it.
Second.
Bill makes the motion, Mike seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town board to approve invoice 237654 from Atlantic Testing Labs in the amount of $1,197 for the Wawarsing Water District.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
As he makes that motion, Paul seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town board to approve invoice 408910 from Tectonic Engineering Consultants in the amount of $3,000.
I'll move it.
Second.
Cassie makes a motion, Paul seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Town board to authorize the supervisor to execute change order number 1, Wawarsing Water District Treatment Plan in Wellfield, contract number 2, bid number WWD bid 06, Ray S. Pantel, Inc., to increase the contract by $2,561.46 for costs associated with 3 concrete piers and 3 15-inch diameter sonotubes filled with 4,000 PSI concrete for electrical panel support for a new contract price of $477,461.46.
I'll move it.
Second.
Cassie makes a motion, Mike seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town board to approve payment application number 4 in the amount of $69,730.95 to TAM Enterprises, Inc. for the Wawarsing Water District Water Treatment Facility and Wellfield.
I'll move it.
Second.
As he makes a motion, Paul seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town board to approve the purchase of a discharge dump body and equipment in the amount of
Two of them.
two of them for $136,645
Each.
from Reed Systems Ltd. for the highway, that's each.
So moved.
Second.
Bill makes that motion, Mike seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Number 20, town board to approve the purchase of two 2023 HV 513 SFA International trucks in the amount of $137,117.56 each from Arkell Motors, Inc. for the Highway Department.
So moved.
Second.
That would be Mike makes the motion, Bill seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town board to approve Ellenville Wawarsing Youth Commission's annual spring fleeing to be held on Saturday, April 30th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Lippman Park, cost not to exceed $1,000.
Move it.
Second.
Cassie makes a motion, Mike seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town board to approve the release of the remaining money that is being held in escrow in the amount of $532 for the Alice Walsh 2-lot subdivision. This is per the recommendation of the Town of Wawarsing Planning Board.
I'll move it.
Second.
Paul makes a motion, Bill seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town board to authorize the town clerk to advertise for the position of alternative sentencing crew supervisor. This is for a part-time 20-hour per week position at $20 per hour. Applicants must meet the minimum qualifications of civil service and will be hired on a provisional basis pending civil service test.
Move it.
Second.
Mike makes the motion, Paul seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. I believe we have one more motion?
Want me to do it now or under concerns?
You can do it under your consent.
Okay.
All right, so the first person that would be Tony Pays.
I have nothing.
Okay, Mike Machetta.
Okay, I was going to touch on our meeting that we had with emergency services, but we already, we started that. I just want to go into a little bit more about it. As we all know, we had a bad ice storm a couple weeks back here, and we were kind of caught off guard. My phone started ringing about 5:45 in the morning. The people had no power, no water, no heat. I got on the phone with Terry, got some numbers of people to call on the county level, Central Hudson. I tried to locate some water and some dry ice down here for our residents that were unfortunately without power and water. I can tell you one thing, I'm not very happy with the way it went off, because I jumped through so many hoops that day to get stuff down here, to the point where we had to send one of our employees, who also had no power at his house, to go up and pick it up in New Paltz. It's unacceptable. I voiced my opinion. I understand that there was an ice storm throughout the county also, and there were 20, 50, 100,000 people that were affected in the northern part of the county. I did stress the point that we still had a couple thousand people down here that were without power also, and I didn't feel that it was the right thing to stop sending water and ice down as far as Rosendale, and kind of forget about this part of the county. So I did voice my opinion, and it made a little bit of a difference, because I got phone calls through the rest of the day from Central Hudson and emergency services, making sure that our people finally had what we needed. We then ran into another hiccup, that the freezing temperatures that we had out there, we had no place to put people that had no power and no alternative means of heat. So that was another hurdle. We tried to get with the village, and they gave us the ability to use the courtroom, but there was a little bit of confusion there where the police department closed at 12 o'clock and...
Village?
I'm sorry, the village closed at 12 o'clock at night. There's no police presence, and they basically shut down the building. So we had somebody call after 12, needed a place to go, and they were turned away. It's unfortunate. The next day, that point was also well made, and the mayor said we could use that building 24/7 for as long as we needed it as a warming center. For those that don't know, a warming center is not a shelter. A warming center is the place people can go and get out of the cold. You can't really sleep there. There's no beds, there's no running water, there's no showers. So the classification for a shelter is not adequate enough. During our meeting of emergency services, that was a hot topic, because all the districts that were involved at the meeting felt the effects, except for Cragsmore. Believe it or not, the highest point, they didn't really have the ice problem that we had. But we have determined that if this does happen in the future, hopefully it doesn't, but inevitably it probably will, each firehouse in every district is equipped with a generator. So we will open up the firehouses to the residents. It doesn't matter if you live in the village, doesn't matter if you live anywhere in the town, these places will be open to you for warming centers. The topic is still with the shelter here in the village. I'm trying to get answers on what's holding up the CO. We don't know yet what's holding up the CO. Once we get that, we'll relay it to the public. One other thing too that we discussed was that we're all part of the same team. So if Cragsmore is affected only, we're still going to open up the firehouses in the town and let people from Cragsmore come here and warm up here. It's not going to be just certain place that firehouse will be open. Also, without knowing what we had, we were, thank God, welcomed, thanks to Paul Toslino and St. Mary and St. Andrew Church. St. Andrew. I did say St. Andrew, didn't I?
Yep.
That we were able to use their community room in the back for a distribution center of water and dry ice.
Yep.
I'm sorry to the people that lived far away from the village, but that's the only place that we had in such short notice. Ideally, it would have been to do it out of the Greenfield Firehouse, because the major affected people were in the Greenfield area. So in the future, we will have strategically placed ice, water, and distribution centers. We'll have help from all the volunteers in the fire departments. They'll do a rotation of time if it has to go around the clock. These are things that are being ironed out for the future for anything if this should ever happen again, whether it's an ice storm or any kind of a mass event. We're also discussing the possibility of using the airport if we ever get cut off in a major event. We can bring stuff in through the airport. There's a lot of stuff that's really being worked out right now, which for years just kind of was written up and nothing ever was put into effect, which in the future is going to change. Again, the next meeting is coming up here very soon. We're meeting at the Emergency Services Building office, which is located at the Sheriff's Substation down by the airport with Chan Rivera. The game plan is if something should ever happen again, more than likely the chiefs from each department will meet there and use a communication center that's there. There is also a communication center here at Scoresby we can use as towers there for communication. So we're not cut off that way. So we're just trying to put something together where it's going to be you go here and so forth. As far as emergency services, that's all I have for that. Last thing is I'll go over to the building department now. We are, as Terry said earlier, we're starting to go through some of the old paperwork that we have that we don't need to keep on premises anymore to try to alleviate some of the clutter paper that we have in the office across from the building department and also the excessive paperwork that we have upstairs on the third floor. That's happening over the next 4 weeks with supervision from Jackie, who's going to be in charge of it. That's going to happen again within the next month. I just want to read a report from the building inspector's office. In the month of January, we did 26 new building permits, 16 closings on them, and believe it or not, we did 101 inspections. So that office is pretty busy. So thanks to them also. And that's all I have for tonight.
Paul Pezzolino.
Well, the only thing I have tonight is to just add on a little bit to what Mike was talking about. During the ice storm, we had situations with two of our water districts because there was no power to the pumps that pump the water, the drinking water supply up to our residents. We were able to use the new communication tool that the board decided to use last month to communicate with the people in the Nappaneck and Kerhonkson water districts, I think, quite effectively. And one of the things that we've decided to do is ask all the residents to provide us, if they have a cell phone number. I think a cell phone number is particularly important because one of the things that we discovered while we were using this tool, there were a good number of landline numbers that our system was not able to basically reach people at because they had no power in their homes. And as a result of having no power in their homes, and they have probably a Charter Spectrum-based phone, they had no phone that we were reaching. So that was something that really highlighted the fact that we really do need to try to get cell phone numbers from people. We've got a public service announcement now on the town's Facebook page. We've got it on Channel 23. And basically, it's this document here. You may have seen the QR code that's coming up on Channel 23 if you're looking at the board meetings at times, and also on the Facebook page. I'm happy to say in the first day that we had it up on the Facebook page, we've had over 150 people sign up for it, and we're looking to add this as a communication tool, especially for emergency events, but also for community activity type things. So when people sign up, they have the option of signing up just for emergency, or they have the option of signing up for emergency and for public, communication type things. So it's just one more tool in our toolkit to try to stay in touch with the community and keep in touch with the residents.
Paul, if we have some residents who don't have a cell phone, will this call their home phone if they have home, if it's not on?
Yes.
So you can get a robocall on your.
Absolutely.
On your
The only issue is if you have a situation where you have no power to your home and you've got if your phone system is based on, Charter Spectrum's phone environment, which I personally have at home, once the power goes out, you have no phone. And so it's
But a
important.
traditional phone could receive a robocall.
Absolutely. If you got a traditional, copper wire phone, you will get the call. The way you'll get the calls is we've got the ability to text, to call, or to text and call. So basically, however the residents want to get communicated to, we will. And our goal now is to build up this database so that we have a way to communicate with people, so that in the future, when we have events where we need to communicate, we can do it. I'm happy to say that we've got about 1,500 people that are members of the town Facebook page, and a lot of communication got out through that, and then people sharing that information to other people that they knew. So it was a good communication tool to use, but we wanted to add this one to it, and we had a chance to use it. And that's it.
Bill Brown.
I want to personally thank Mike Machetta and Terry Hout for the outstanding job they did during the emergency, and the other board members who partook in other parts of the situation there, keeping everybody informed of what was going on, how it was going on. Thank you. Thank you to Tony and the entire highway department for the job you guys did under most difficult circumstances, with the ice, the electric lines coming down, the trees falling down, all the emergency services in the village and the town for your work, many hours, many calls. I didn't lose electric. I had a scanner, and the thing was nonstop. You guys were going all over the place. So thank everybody involved. Cassie and I met with the Youth Commission, and we worked on the summer camp. That seems to be going along smoothly. Lisa Wiles partook in the meeting. We hammered out a few things, and I think that's going to be fine. Was it yesterday, I believe, that Terry and I reached out to the county to talk to them about possibly getting someone from DSS and the Office of the Aging to come to Ellenville once a month to reach out for our residents who can't make it to Kingston to see these people there, and they seem pretty receptive.
Yeah, that was Tim Weiderman, who's the County Economic Development Director. As I knew it wasn't his responsibility, he was reaching out to the people that are involved with that directly, and he's going to get back to us, and we'll go from there.
And he was also looking into helping us try to find solutions for some of the homeless issues that we have in the area. And so that was a good thing. That's all I have.
Thanks, Bill. Cassie.
Yeah. I also want to thank everybody that came together during our ice emergency. Tony's guys did their thing. Mike stood up an amazing bunch of people to get people what they needed. And shout out to the water department. They notified me immediately when the main pump station in Napanock went down, and we were able to let them know that we were going to need to conserve water. I was really, the energy of our board wanting to get together and help people really came to the forefront during that emergency. Everybody has liaisons here, and we all worked our part of the pie to make sure everybody got what they needed, and I really appreciate that coming together to solve the problem for our residents. If you have storm damage, Pat Ryan, our executive, would like you to know that you can reach out to Ulster County Disaster Assistance at 1-800-339-1759 or 845-443-8888, and they are taking information, and they're trying to assist anybody who has significant storm damage.
Our webpage?
It could be.
It shall be.
It shall be.
Shall be.
It shall be. It shall be. He touched on the fact that the summer camp registration is open, It is open until April 1st. If you want your camper to go to camp, you need to reach out to Sam and get yourself registered. If you're looking for work this summer, we have openings for lifeguards, we have openings for camp staff, but what we are in desperate need of is a pool director. We need a pool director because without a pool director, we can't open either pool. So if you have some certifications or you're interested in getting the certifications, please come by Town Hall and talk to Sam or myself or Bill Brown. And we'll get you in the right direction because we really need a pool director. And my final thing isn't nearly as pleasant, but don't put grease in the sewer. It messes up the pumps and it's not good. So I'm gonna leave it on that note. Don't put your grease in the sewer.
Okay, thanks. It's getting redundant, but that's a good redundancy. I'd like to thank Tony Sykes and the Highway Department, the all 4 council people.
Terry, I'm
Yes.
sorry, I forgot Pat Cook. Could we go back? I'm sitting here
Yes.
and I'm like, okay,
Okay.
I apologize. I have a town board motion, town board to approve the hiring of Patricia Cook as an assessment field worker in the assessor's office. This is a part-time position, 17 and a half hours a week at $17.50 per hour. Her start date would be February 24th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
So that is Cassie, and then Bill seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion's carried.
Thank you, Terry.
All right, sure. So anyway, back to thanking Tony and the highway guys. I know it's redundant, but it's well deserved. This storm landing was definitely ice. And Tony and I had a lot of conversations, and the vast majority of the time from that Thursday or Friday morning, you were cutting trees down, cutting branches down, clearing them from the highways. Again, I'd like to thank all the fire department, all the 4 fire districts and the rescue squad for everything that they did during that process. We've discussed Central Hudson a little bit before. I think Paul was talking about that. Central Hudson has a new representative, Nathan Jackson, that is, as far as I'm concerned so far, he's done a very good job.
I agree.
He's responsive. Mike and I talked to him. I introduced him to him. I introduced him to Paul. We discussed it with the entire board. He's been very, very hands-on and without getting into individual circumstances. There was one in Happonock, and there was just, they fixed some things that were, dangerous as far as lines down and in the town. So that was what they're supposed to do, and the point is there was a connection between the town and the agency of Central Hudson, which is important. I appreciate all the board members to this point, especially the emergency response stuff with Mike and I, and as we met with the 4 fire districts last week. Again, we discussed it earlier in the meeting, and now that we will be following up with the emergency management plan from 2006. Was it 7? Okay, 2007. It's definitely needed. It's going to be our local town, village, fire districts, rescue squad, county, EMS, with Mike Madison, Everett Erickson, and Mike Gaffney. Mike Gaffney, you might remember, helped us out during the pandemic immensely with the PPE stuff that we did. We served about 11 places of worship back then, and just the general public in general. And those 3 guys for the emergency services with the county do a really good job. But I appreciate the consistent and really thoughtful direction that the fire services and rescue squad services get. I mean, you have to approach it that way to get things done, and that was done in this instance. We talked about warming shelters and emergency shelters. There's a difference. I don't want to break it down immediately. I mean, you have to have, a shower for emergency shelters, but there are parameters for the emergency shelters versus a warming center, which Mike explained already. We are going to entertain some of the ARPA or rescue funds possibly to maybe go towards that. Over the years, again, this stream restoration project that had started, 8-10 years ago, it started and then got derailed for a number of years. The town didn't get, they initially were the lead agency, then the village was, and then there was a lack of communication, and then there was conversation with the previous village manager, Mr. Steckler, and there was a pretty good effort to provide generators, because we discussed, I think Mike or Paul discussed generators earlier, and just to name some places that I just know from hearing, with the Methodist Church right across the street was looking to get a generator. The Catholic Church was looking to get a generator. I believe one of the synagogues was looking to get a generator. And, you know, with storms like this and some opportunities for funding, I think these places, since the emergency shelter at the Hunt building is getting towards completion, it really only is going to be able to service 20 beds. So it was a pretty good cost for 20 beds. They've done a good job with the basement of that building. We've had meetings I guess there's been meetings in the village board meetings. They discussed the Hunt building in the last month or so, right, Mike? Anybody you guys went to the meeting?
Yeah.
So, you know, those things, I mean, that's a jewel of a building, and right now it's got a jewel of an emergency shelter, but I really think we got to really start thinking about if we could provide places like what I just said, for the Methodist, the Catholic Church, the synagogue, any building that's...
The Methodist Church has, we ended up making it all handicapped accessible. Bathrooms, showers, it's got a full kitchen in it.
All right, so the Methodist Church is willing, able to get involved. I know the Catholic Church has said that as well. That's why they actually initiated that dry ice and water last weekend or during the event. And I just think it's something we really have to take a hard look at and see how that can happen, because it seems like that would be a plausible financial, not so much of a investment as the Hunt building was. Because the Hunt building was approximately $1.2 million for 20 beds, which has a kitchen, it has some other uses, I guess, but and just add to that would be what we really need, because we need, if there's emergencies like there were, I mean, Rosenville had a really bad time with this. The town of Ulster had a really bad time with this. We had somewhat of a hardship here, but we have to be prepared for that type of, those events. Let's go into an executive session, not to reconvene. We have one extra thing to talk about in executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried.